Okay, so while this is loading, I want you to go ahead and start thinking about our upcoming unit on the rock cycle. All right, so first I have a question for you. What is a rock? We see rocks everywhere. You have seen rocks since you were little bitty and you picked them up and threw them. Maybe you like to toss them across the creek now. Maybe you like to go sit out and eat lunch on the big rocks out in the river up in the mountains sometime. We see the rocks. We know what rocks are. But have you ever been asked to define or give a definition of a rock? It's a little bit more tricky. It's a little bit harder to actually pinpoint a definition of a rock. So that's what we're going to look at. All right, we know that rocks make up our mountains, they make up our creek beds, and they're found around our streams and our rivers. They also make up our canyons. But what are they really? So they are naturally occurring. Rocks have solid mass, a definite shape, solid mass. They are a collection of minerals. Every rock consists of at least one type, if not more than that, different types of minerals. So, how do we know this? How do we know how rocks are formed? How do we know that there are various types of rocks? Because we've got these unique type of scientists, this unique type of scientists that spend their lives devoted to discovering and exploring everything that there is to know about the different types of rocks. And these people are called geologists. The study of rocks is geology. So it would make sense that those scientists would be called geologists. All right, so Earth's crust is made up of many different types of rocks. Over long periods of time, many rocks they change shape and type as they are transformed by wind, by water, by pressure, and by heat. And we're going to learn more about that in a few minutes. But first, let's learn about the types of rocks. So we first have igneous rocks and then sedimentary rocks, and our third type is metamorphic. All right, so what are igneous rocks? Igneous rocks form when magma or molten rock, remember that's lava below Earth's surface, cools and becomes solid. If this happens underground, the magma solidifies slowly, giving large crystals time to form. The magma becomes a hard rock, such as granite. Igneous rocks can also form on Earth's surface when lava escapes from a volcano and solidifies quickly. So here you can see those two different types of igneous rocks. So we have extrusive, think of exit, X, that means outside. So magma comes out as lava and cools on the surface, so above the surface of the earth. Intrusive, meaning inside, interior, intrusive igneous rocks is where magma cools off beneath the surface and thus forms this type of rock. Then we have sedimentary rocks, and that's when rocks are weathered and eroded. That means that they've worn down and they break up into smaller pieces called sediment. So you can see here in this diagram that you have eroded sediments. They just pile up and they pile up, and there's that pressure that's compacting those layers. And then ultimately, you have salt crystals that glue those layers together, thus forming a sedimentary rock. All right, what are metamorphic rocks? This is a very unique type of rock. These are rocks that have been changed by heat, pressure, fluids, and or strain. They start out as a different type of rock altogether. So this is very important. They start out as igneous or sedimentary rocks. All right, they often have a striped appearance, and we'll talk about what they look like later. But it's very important that you realize that metamorphic rocks, they have metamorphosed into this type of rock. They started out as something different, and that's what leads us to our rock cycle. All right, so rock cycle, this is just a cycle, a long, slow journey of rocks down from Earth's surface and then back up again. The rocks often change during this process. Rocks form deep in the earth and then they move and they sometimes change. Sometimes they go up to the surface and eventually return below the ground. The three main types of rocks we've discussed. And so you're going to see how they take place within this rock cycle. So you've got weathering, you've got erosion, you've got water and other bodies, other forms that carry these rocks. You've got rocks that settle down. You've got volcanic activity. You've got